Darksaber Productions is proud to be sponsored by Secure, and that's spelled SEKUR.com. They are a proprietary VPN, email, and personal messaging service that, guess what? The US government cannot hack it because they're all proprietary information. It's transferred on a multi layered 2048-bit encrypted tunnel using their proprietary Helix technology. All communications happen on their Swiss secure servers only, which are not subjected to US hacking laws or FISA agreements. So I personally love it because I had issues with that when I was fighting the government in 10th District Court, and I fully support Secure's technology. And if you want 10% off of your subscription, use the promo code Derito, Derito, when you sign up for Secure, and that's SEKUR.com, promo code Derito for 10% off. Hey guys, it's Adam Derito here with Darksaber Productions, which runs the Darksaber podcast and the Tuxes and Tomahawks podcast. I wanted to do a solo episode today because I believe it's really important to talk about what just happened with the election season, the way forward of what's going on with the Derito Act, and everything else that's involved here in the United States of America. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, well, this is going to be for only the Darksaber podcast and also the Tuxes and Tomahawks podcast. I wanted to do a solo episode. I have not done an update on either of those podcasts in a while because obviously I have been massively busy with the election season for the last 18 months. And yes, I'm the president of Leatherwood Development Group. That is the LLC I use to encompass both my podcast and everything I do here for the political work that I do on the side and the lobbying side, and also all the advocacy work I've been doing for the past, 14 years. And I believe my listeners needed an update from what's been going on because obviously the episodes haven't been consistent. And yes, I do have some episodes for Dark Saber Season 3, but I'm going to be holding off on releasing those for a little bit. Obviously, everything's super contentious with the election going on last night, and I want to make sure that those voices are heard in a more productive setting where we're going to be instituting change with people that are going to be bringing those changes. Now, people are going to ask me, why did I support Trump over, this election? And I'm going to be 100% honest to my listeners because I know I work with a lot of men and women who are much more liberal leaning and wanted Kamala Harris to get elected. Or Biden. The honest answer is I gave them a chance. Even when I came back from deployment, I was working directly with the Biden administration. I was in communication with the White House. I was on Denver 7 News about it. And I gave them the chance. I gave them the chance to work on the Derito Act, to rectify my situation with the United States Air Force Academy in retaliating against me for reporting sexual assault and harassment. And they just didn't do it. They did not do the moral and ethical thing to save our service members from being raped, sexually assaulted, retaliated against for doing those things. They had every option to do it. Every legalism, even in my court case, all the way with the Air Force Academy, where it was dismissed with prejudice, which means we can refile, which we will be doing that in the future when we have better judges put back in the system that aren't corrupt. So they had their chance. And one thing I've learned over the last 14 years is that you cannot just be a moral and ethical person trying to do the right thing. Because we have a lot of those men and women in the military, and a lot of them were kicked out over the COVID vaccine mandate and everything else. And like I've said on numerous podcasts before, most of the leaders in the higher ends of the military, especially in the DC sector, are simply the best of the worst. And that has what has brought lack of integrity and trust between our service members in our military to do the right thing, especially with all the younger people coming in, our post 9/11 generation, Generation Z, Generation Alpha, right? If we've gotten rid of all the war fighters, so to speak, from the global war on terror, who are now just out in the civilian world working their civilian jobs and want nothing to do with the system, we're left with a bunch of bureaucratic military members who don't want to make those changes. And we've seen those cases escalate over the past several years. That's when I met Megan Clement. She's an amazing woman who was a Coast Guard member and testified at Senator Blumenthal's hearing about the rape and retaliation cases that she experienced in the Coast Guard. And we've joined forces and we'll be moving forward with that. I've met so many amazing people. Captain Cooney of the Marine Corps, who's retaliated against for January 6th. Even Brock from the Air Force Academy as well. I've had discussions with Matt Lohmeyer, who Trump is now going to be picking to fix all the DEI issues we have in the military that has made our military weaker, in my opinion. Because our main job is to kill people and break things. And if we can't do that because we don't trust our own leaders and everyone in between, then how the hell are we going to do our mission? It's a distraction, and we need to fix those things. So let's have this discussion. Why did I get involved in the political sphere for the last 18 months and kind of been off the radar with these podcasts? I've done all the podcasts. I've been on Andy Stump. I've been on, the Failure Podcast. I've been on dozens of podcasts. You can look it up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I've been on the news. And yeah, we made a lot of personal changes and we've had a lot of people reach out, but still no changes were made. Well, how those changes come about is bills and laws that need to be passed. And that's what I've put all my effort into for the last couple of years with Lindsay Rowland, who's a lobbyist in DC, is making sure that the Derito Act, which makes sure that it is illegal for the U.S. military to falsify mental health records in retaliation for reporting sexual assault, harassment, and misconduct of officers and NCOs, is passed. And yeah, we met a lot of opposition in Congress over the last few years, especially under the Biden administration, because nobody wants to pass laws against the military. The military has become an uncontrollable fourth branch of government. We've seen the wars escalate in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and everything else. And when is it going to stop? Well, the answer is with you. Yeah, we can speak out and we can write letters and we can come on podcasts and we can talk all you want. But unless you're going to take a seat at the table and you're going to be directly involved in those things and you're going to get those laws passed, nothing is ever going to change. Last night was a very contentious election. I was surprised that it actually got called last night. My prediction was 51-49 and Trump for the popular vote, but I thought it was going to go to a runoff and go into the court system. And I do find it ironic how the other side is now claiming election fraud. Well, that's weird. That's what happened in 2020. But I think the best part about what I have learned in podcasting and doing advocacy work over the last several years is that unconventional media, such as podcasts and having these discussions and expanding my network with the Common Sense Network. Thank you so much, Chris and Aaron and Brandon for roping me into that and having those discussions, at Mar-a-Lago and other congressmen like Wesley Hunt and Brian Donalds and Lauren Boebert, great senators, even Mark Kelly. I've talked with his staffers as well, Elizabeth Warren's office. We can collectively make these changes, but you have to take a seat at the table. You have to take these meetings. And you can't do it without having unconventional, unbiased media, right? And this is something why I decided to get involved in podcasting and start this network and working with these people is because this is how we're going to actually institute the change. And yeah, it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of bureaucracy. And I've gotten attacked for years. But I think, I read a book called The Courage to be Disliked. And it changed my perspective on a lot of things. I stopped caring what people thought about me. I stopped caring about the criticism of these, naive, uneducated cadets at the Air Force Academy. I kept pushing forward with the initiatives that was going to benefit them. My goal is to change the Air Force Academy permanently. And in concert, that's going to help West Point, Annapolis, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, and our military in a broader spectrum. I love the Air Force Academy. It was my dream school that I worked my ass off since I was in sixth grade to get into. And it was unfortunate that I was raped and sexually assaulted at the academy, that my commanders didn't take me seriously. Lieutenant Colonel Christensen, Lieutenant General Michael Gould, I will call you out by name. I made my fair share of mistakes as a cadet, but I never did anything criminal or anything detrimental to the point where they deserve to destroy my entire life, my career, embarrass me in front of my family. I mean, there are still members of my family I do not talk to because of what happened at USAFA, right? And that's hard, but what I've learned over the years is not all family is blood related. Thank you so much to my best friends who have stuck by me over the years, especially, sorry, I'm going to call you guys out. Elliot Loper, Richard Meldrum, Matt Lewandowski, Pete Driscoll, Matt Greifey, Herb Rubenstein, Lindsay Rowland, and even my ex-wife at the time. She supported me for a long period of time until, obviously we drifted apart and things happened. You can listen to other podcasts about that. I'm not going to get into it here. But it changed my life for the better. I reconnected with my faith when I was on deployment and going overseas. I met amazing individuals such as Seth Kraft and Eric Immer, who helped change my life permanently. Those men that I served with overseas, helped me walk into the 38 Gulf program, which I'm sure you all heard. I was I won my commissioning argument. I'm going to be commissioned as a captain in the United States Army Reserve in Civil Affairs, which is my dream, to get my commission back from this entire 14-year fight with the Air Force Academy. And now we're going to fight for my degree back from the Academy officially and my back pay, and that's a longer fight, and that's whatever. But that's not what means anything to me. What means something to me is getting back what I earned. I've never asked for anything more than what I have earned throughout this entire fight, because I try to be as moral and ethical as possible in the decisions that I make, especially after reconnecting with my faith as a Catholic. Right? I came back and started giving back to my community and going back to church and being heavily involved in my community, even being a substitute teacher. And that's when I started picking up local politics. I met amazing people, Darcy Schoening and Anna Ferguson and Hope Scheppelman and Dave Williams, who's the chairman of the Colorado GOP. And I wanted to work with them extensively. One, because I understand you need to take a seat at the table in your local elections, and it matters. Your local elections matter. People think the president of the United States matters, and it does to an extent, but really it's your local elections that matter. Your board of education, who's doing the taxes and the roads and the bridges and everything else. And I'm going to continue working with the Colorado GOP moving forward. Even that entire debacle where there was an illegal coup, by some other Republicans or claimed to be Republicans in the state. And what we learned from the 2020 election is that loyalty to the cause, your conservative values, means something. And I'm glad that I stuck with those relationships. And I'm looking forward to see what happens in politics in my political future here in the state of Colorado, and supporting those people and getting the right people elected and being an active participant, being an active constituent in your democratic process in this constitutional republic. And I believe that is so critically important, and an obligation and a moral duty to you as an American citizen is to be involved in your local politics. You can't sit here and complain and bitch on the internet and do all these podcasts if you're not actively involved in the process. So I try to do the things that I say to do, right? I am not only podcasting and advocating for the Derito Act and changing our military, but on a broader spectrum, I want to care about the members of my community. And that's from every single political aspect, whether it's the LGBT community or everything, all these other minority groups that want a seat at the table. That's fine. But do so where we can have civil discourse. The amount of evil rhetoric that I've seen spoken, over the last several months. And like I said, I'm a conservative Catholic. Obviously, I don't believe in abortion or anything like that. And there's other members of my community, even the conservative side, that may not agree with my views. And that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. We can agree on 70% of the issues as long as it's for the betterment of the community, because it's not about the individual. It's about the team. Same aspect as in the military, right? It's about the mission, mission first, people always, right? And I think we've lost that in this hateful discourse we've had over the last several years. And I'm glad that this election proves something to the American people. Podcasting and unconventional media is revolutionizing how American people receive their information, right? And I hope that even the small minority impact that I've had with the group of men and women that I've worked with over the years on these things has made some type of an impact, that we've drawn more people out to go to the polls and go to the votes and be involved in their local communities. And on top of that, you have no excuse to complain if you're not involved in that process, right? We have seen the DoD be massively corrupt for a long period of time. The global war on terror, 20 years. The withdrawal of Afghanistan, which is the most important issue to me this election season. I hope President President-elect Trump sticks to his promise when he stated that he wants the resignation of every single officer involved in the withdrawal of Afghanistan. And we revamp our military and we get the right people in. And I hope that Matt Lohmeyer, class of 2006 USAFA, gets some type of position in the Trump administration where I can help him make those changes as well. We're both retaliated against, and I hope that we get to make those changes as people who have moral and ethical backgrounds. Who I could have easily given up on the government. I could have got out of the military a long time ago. I could have just given up and walked away. But who else is going to make these changes? Who will go send me, as Isaiah says, right? And I've met incredible people. Even Senator Tuberville and Riley Gaines and Sarah Palin at Madison Square Garden. I've been incredibly blessed this last year in the connections that I've made, and also getting my commission back, right? Things just opened up for me when I stuck to my moral and ethical principles and my faith, and putting God first in my life. And I know I'm not trying to sit here and convert you all to Catholicism or any type of religion, but having a good moral based foundation is something that was missing in our government. Sorry, but the atheists and the people without families to raise, as JD Vance likes to say, that childless cat lady, so to speak, and that's not to target anything individually, but it's true. If you don't have children or a family or some kind of belief, then what are you fighting for? What does your citizenship mean to you, right? And to be fair, most of the people running our government are retired and they don't have a job and they're old and, they don't have anything to lose. They can make a decision in, 10, 20 years, they're not going to be around anymore. So who cares? But you should care. Just because you have a job and a kids and a wife or a husband or anything else to take care of doesn't mean you can't go to these meetings, your local political meetings, and get involved. Learn how to tailor a suit, learn how to show up, learn how to public speak, go to Toastmasters. They're a great training resource to do that. And that's how we're going to pass these bills. That's how we're going to make changes. And like I said, I gave the Biden administration full control and the ability to pass a Derito Act and reform my case. And they chose to do nothing. So if you choose to do nothing, then how can I stand by you and support you moving forward in the electoral process when there's another administration and another group of people such as Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and Elon Musk, Brian Donalds and Wesley Hunt, and these amazing people that want to make those changes? And keep in mind, this is only for 4 years, maybe 2 years until we get to the next midterm and senatorial elections. Things are going to be changing. I'm only 37, right? I got to hopefully another several decades on this planet. This isn't the only political race we're going to be involved in. Things are always going to be changing, but we need to get younger veterans, younger Americans elected in their local offices, on their state side, on the federal side. We need to start caring about this country. We can't take it for granted. And anyone who's been to a third world country, I've been to several, whether it was my deployment or my humanitarian mission work I do with the Developing World Connections Group, with General Marty France, who was one of my professors at the Air Force Academy, who's an amazing person. I literally consider him like my second dad, right? You are so blessed to have flushing toilets and indoor plumbing and electricity, and you can live in a safe community and have safe food to eat and safe drinking water. And I believe a lot of Americans don't see outside that 50-mile radius outside their home. And we as Americans, we are the most powerful, amazing country in the world, and we have a duty and a moral obligation to never forget that. We want to work with our allies. We want to bring peace in the world. We want the wars to stop. We can't do that if you take everything you've been given in this country by winning the best lottery in the world, being born an American citizen, for granted. We don't want to see death, destruction, and riots here in the United States. We have enough of that going on overseas. We need to come together collectively, no matter what side of the political spectrum you sit on, Democrat or Republican, and do those things effectively. And I trust that we will. I trust that once all the little nuanced complainers get over it, I believe the majority of Americans do want to work together and live in peace and just go out and hang out skiing, have a few beers, have a few whiskeys, cook dinner together as a family, spend the holidays together in peace and prosperity. And like I said, I have friends on the liberal side and the conservative side. Even my main lawyer for my case, Matt Greify, love that guy. One of the most liberal people I know. But you want to know what? We can sit down and have a civil conversation and everything else. And I love that about Matt. And I love that about all my friends and family and people that have never given up, not only on my case, but not given up on America. And that's my message to you all today, is don't give up on America. Don't give up on yourself. Don't say that your voice doesn't matter, because it does. So this is my advice moving forward for all of you who have supported the Dark Saber series here, for the Justice and Reform at the Air Force Academy, for all you people who have come on the Embark podcast, listen to amazing politicians and people making a difference in their community, state, and nation, for all of you who pay attention to me on Dead Red Media with Calories and all those guys in Jersey that I work with out there, and also the Common Sense Network. Be a participant, be a citizen, don't be a resident. Right? Participate, get involved, reach out to me, reach out to any of the guys I work with. We want to work with you. We want to be better Americans. We want to build an amazing community of trust and transparency. And is everything the Trump administration going to do perfect? No, they're going to make plenty of mistakes. They're just humans, right? Even though the close interactions I've had with them, even like I said, Dom Lombardi and Paul Ingrassia, the guys I met out on the East Coast working with these guys, and John Rourke as well. John Rourke is a business person with Don Trump Jr., who I met at Trump International Golf Course, and I am looking forward to being involved where I can make a small difference in this country that's going to benefit tens of thousands of veterans. And that should be the goal. It's not about yourself anymore. It's about the community that you represent. And I hope that collectively we can put aside our differences as Americans and we can come together and be better people, be better humans, and love our neighbor, so to speak, right? And learn to forgive. That's something I've had to learn over the last 2 years is forgiveness. And just because we forgive you doesn't mean we have to necessarily work together, right? It's okay to put aside our differences and the problems and complexions of the past. But that is my hope and wish of doing this individual special episode podcast, is that we are going to see real radical change here, that we're going to give power back to the American people. And by doing so, I'm hoping that I can work with these congressmen, congresswomen, senators, members of the local electorate here in the state of Colorado, that we're going to make a real difference and change that's going to not only benefit a small group of people who are directly involved in those incidents, such as myself at the Air Force Academy, but make a difference for all Americans and encourage people to join our military, encourage people to be involved in their local community and to give back to their neighbors and help one another out. That is my true wish of doing all these podcasts. It's not just to tell a story. It's not just to complain. It's to motivate others to be involved and care. So thank you all for sticking with me over the years. And I hope collectively we can work together to do these amazing things. Thank you so much to all my friends and family who never gave up, who supported me in getting my commission back. I am so excited to do those things, especially my former commander, Tulsi Gabbard, at the 440 Civil Affairs Battalion. Thank you so much, man, for supporting me and getting that back. I know you did a lot of background work when it came to that. And I am truly grateful, and I cannot thank you enough. And to all the men and women I've served with over the years, the United States Army, with the 19th Special Forces Group, the 3157 HIMARS Battalion, and the 440 Civil Affairs and the Reserve, thank you. Thank you for never giving up on me. So as we move into the holiday season, I might be a little bit more off the air. I am going to try to enjoy my time with my family and my friends here for Thanksgiving and on Christmas back at home. But once January hits, that's when the real work starts. After the inauguration, I'm going to try to get out there for the inauguration. We'll see what happens. The work's not over. We have some people in positions of power now that can make a difference, but it is now up to us as American citizens to continue to push those bills, make those phone calls. And when that time comes, I will reach out over the podcast and I will ask for people to make those phone calls and to help. That is what we're going to do. I am looking forward to it. To all the staffers I've worked with over the years, especially you, Eric, right? Thanks, Eric, down at Wesley Hunt's office. You're the best. And thank you so much. God bless every single one of you. And God bless the United States of America. Stay safe out there.